people in the equipment business, I guess I can't lose my amateur standing for saying this now, but back when I was playing fairly well, Jack Nicklaus got all his equipment. They called it the Lend-Lease program. He got all his equipment from McGregor. I got all my equipment from Wilson. At the end of the season, you turn in all the equipment, and then next year they give you another batch. So it's not like you're getting something that you're keeping. So that was the way around the amateur rule of whatever the heck it was, which changes so often I couldn't start to. I also lost a year of golf, senior golf, because I won the car. And I was the first guy and 10 guys that won that car, 10 players, that lost his amateur standing. And that all occurred because the guy I beat in the club championship that year was so unhappy about me called the USPA, and I lost it. So at age 70, I lost my amateur standing for a year. That took me out of it being a threat for what, I'm not sure. I know. It's crazy. It's the business of timing, right place at the right time. Some of the strangest things like that have happened. Not only just in golf, but in golf alone. I played with Fred Waring. Opened up 9 holes, his third 9 holes up at Shawnee. Got invited to tournaments there's no way I could, and get to play with people there's no way you're ever going to get to play with otherwise. People are paying big bucks. I played in a bunch of pro-ams. Got invited, one of the prizes for this hole-in-one thing, for winning the car, we played in my wife and I for 10 years. But if you didn't win the car, you might get 2 airline tickets, you might get to play in the Nabisco Dinah Shore Pro-Am. I bet you I know half the top, and played with some of the top lady players of all time. Of course, I played with Betsy, obviously, Betsy King. Almost didn't mention that. She's a member of this club. Still is. It's just been a great life. And I'm sure that had I not sort of stepped out of the picture of playing in it for 25 or 30 years, I might not have even appreciated it as much. And maybe a lot of these things that have happened wouldn't have happened. I mean, who knows? Anything can happen. I had this club sold to somebody. 2 days before the sale, he was still on the Autobahn. Well, things happen. But golfers, I'm trying to think. Of course, I met Byron Nelson. Never played with him.
Did you play with Sam Snead?
Yeah, I played with Sam in the practice round at the Berkshire.
How was that?
Oh, great. But all those experiences made it easier. If you're doing enough of something, you get comfortable. If you're in the finals of a tournament, never been in the finals of a tournament, you're supposed to choke. Most do. And I don't know why I wasn't too smart. I wasn't smart enough to know where I was when I won the state amateur. I really didn't know anything. I could hit a golf ball, and I was on my own course. And some other I beat guys like Harry Haverstick, who was a legend around here, I'm sure. Lynn Creason, who was his partner in crime, so to speak. They played a lot of better balls together. I think they both won the state amateur. Guys from out west with Fred Payne. Once you've done it, the next time isn't nearly as difficult. And it got to the point, as I said earlier, I looked forward to getting into the competition, in the hunt. And whenever I hear somebody refer to Jack Nicklaus as saying that, you better feel that way. If you feel like I felt I'm going to lose to Jack if I get in the finals of the North and South because I can't beat him in practice, you're going to lose. Bad attitude. Terrible bad attitude. Maybe not so unlikely to have that attitude. The guy he was such a great player before anybody ever heard of him. I never heard of him. And that's the greatest story I could ever tell. 2 weeks with Jack Nicklaus. I'm pretty much a 9-hole player with my wife. We try to get out ahead of everybody else. And my wife still plays pretty good golf. We have good games together, decide who's going to cook or who's going to take who out. When it's time to cook, we go out, because nobody wants to eat my cooking. Oh, she's learned all her golf before me. I haven't been able to teach her anything about golf.
What's her name?
Pat. We won I won the qualifying of the Boyle Cup. We won husband and wife, Philadelphia husband and wife, at least twice. I don't know how many more times. won a few things now.
Mm-hmm.
She's won the Berks County Amateur, a bunch of championships. She'd rather just play golf and not worry about tournament golf. She has to force herself to play. Well, neither one of us wants to really play tournament golf now. I went back to the Philly Open, yeah, in 1978, I think it was, just to see what would happen. Well, my 82 showed me what would happen. I limped home, better stick to my job. I made my job, my business, my pleasure. Now I'm trying to make my pleasure being golf. I would play almost every day. La Chateau, which is a course out where they had the Pocono 500 tournament, which was supposed to be attached to the Hershey Hotel. Anyway, it was a struggling place near the racetrack, and they had a celebrity tournament pro-am there, and I won that with 67 course record. I actually had a little something to do with redesigning that. I forgot about that. I redesigned 3 or 4 courses, some parts of it. Berkshire, 65. I shot 64 Asylum, 64, I think, here. That was right out by, we had the Philly Amateur here, Philly Open here, and somebody came up here and shot the lights out. Flieger. And I'm not sorry about that, by the way. I think any golf course that can't be scored on, what's wrong with it? What were you watching? Did you watch the Crosby and see this poor guy chip the ball over the green, chip it back over the green about the 14th hole or something? He was in the lead. Can't think of his name now. But anyway, set the courses up to do that. I'm such an anti-fast green player. You can't imagine. I'd rather practice than play if the greens are unfair. And so often they are, especially on older golf courses. They're not designed. They weren't designed to have a stimp at 12 or 13 or something. I've had 2 double eagles within 2 weeks on the same hole. First hole at Berkshire. I went out after coming home from the Open. I was really drained, so I didn't play for a few days. And one Friday, I decided I'm just going to go out and play a few holes. And it was drizzling. And I holed a 4-wood from middle of the fairway on the fly. Could barely see it. It was that kind of crappy weather. First hole, now if I could have had that at the Open, that would have been something. One hole late. Timing is everything. So then 2 weeks later, we're qualifying for the club championship. I'm playing with Rod Eakin, and I hooked my tee shot down the left side there. I had no shot at the green. Other than I had to snap hook a shot just to get it back around onto the fairway. But by this time, things had dried out, and the irrigation, whatever, I didn't do much of it. And this ball landed in the fairway, not standing up where I couldn't see the green or anything. So it looks like it's going to be pretty good. Hey, it's going to be on the green. And my God, it went in the hole. So that was my second one. If those aren't 2 opposite kinds of eagles, double eagles, they named the member guest, the big member guest up here, Heidelberg, in my honor. And they wanted me to play in it with Jerry Gerhardt, who's been a pretty good player around these parts, because we'd won it so many times. Just a token entry kind of thing. Got 32 in the bag, 9 and I won. Thank you very much. Typical Guenther. And that's the one time that I played tournament golf actually maybe any golf that one of my kids saw me play. My daughter was out and I walked around and watched that. So we weren't much of a golfing family when I came along. And my kids all play golf can. Don't do much of it, but they have memberships, so they can play if they want.